Humacyte is really category creating innovation. We are engineering tissues at commercial scale that can be manufactured and then can be implanted into any patient without rejection.
Hi everyone, welcome to Values. So today we're looking at Humacyte. This company is a very impressive company. It engineers tissue. So what does that mean really? Well, basically they make these vessels that can be used during surgery, and they find there's a lot less complications afterwards, which in that sense it saves costs. So like if this product is approved by the FDA, which the decision is on 10th of August, then they will be the best product on the market. So the question is, if it's going to be the best product on the market, then there's a really good chance FDA will approve it. Yeah, and you wouldn't be wrong on that. But of course, you know, delays can happen, and we never know what the FDA is thinking when it comes to this. So in terms of their trials, the trials results have been quite good, exceeded what the benchmarks. And also the products is also tested in Ukraine in a battlefield, so you know the conditions of a battlefield are not ideal, yet the product performed even better in Ukraine, and FDA has asked them to add that data to their trials, to the data they gathered on the trials. So you can imagine it's pretty good. So I can't imagine FDA not approving it. But you know, we never know. So hence why there's always a risk when you buy into a company with an FDA decision that is pending. Then there's a risk that if it does not go through, stock drops, and if it does go through, stock hopefully skyrockets. And with that decision coming up, then it's a very good moment to consider whether you want to be investing in this company. Of course, it never hurts to buy afterwards as well, because even if the stock price goes up quite a bit, there's always room as the company grows their revenues. So in terms of the company size, what's the company size? That's a really good question, isn't it? So as we look at its share price is at $7.83. If we look at what's happened in the last year, basically the stock has been as low as $2. So from going from like $2, oh actually this was the end of last year. So in around November, October, around there, and from that to go to $8, that's actually a really big increase in that sense. But when we're talking about a product that could just change everything, as we know in terms of that field, yeah, like it's probably still quite cheap for a company that's just slightly under $1 billion, and a company potentially in the future they could be generating hundreds of millions from this product. So the focus is for trauma right now, and then they also release some really impressive results for same product but focus on a different area, and this is more for dialysis patients. And that market is actually meant to be twice the size of the trauma market. And what the FDA decision that's coming up is for the trauma. And given the results for this phase 3 for dialysis was really good as well, then they'll be going for another FDA decision later on. Though these things can take up to a year, so I wouldn't like hold my breath on this one coming out too soon. But it's nice to have this as a backup if the other one doesn't work out, or if the first FDA decision works out and then they go for the second one for dialysis and that also works out, you can kind of see where the value of this company will continue to build. So hence why I advise you to do some research on this company, add it to your watch list, and you know, look at it as a potential stock that you may be interested in, because they're doing some stuff that is pretty incredible. And yeah, like at the current valuation, I don't think it's too bad. Like it's kind of in that middle ground where investors are on the sidelines, where they're going, the value's high, if it doesn't get approved by the FDA, but it is low if it does get approved by the FDA, which is always the case. There's always, you know, there needs to be reward if there's an FDA decision that's approved. Earlier, stock got to probably around $9.50. Obviously, last few days markets have been very volatile, to say the least, and the stock has come back down a bit. But I think in the long run, there's so much value ahead of this company, especially if they get approved by the FDA. If their product in a few days' time is approved by the FDA, it's a really, really good signal for the next product that, the next decision that comes up, because it's the same product just for a different area, a different use in that sense. And also, like, it just really proves out the product in general. Like, so far, the trial results for trauma and dialysis has proven really, the data, has proven really positive. So you can kind of see that there is, the product works, and it's just a matter of, have they done enough for the FDA to go, it's approved, or do they need to go and do a bit more work? I don't think it's going to be a fail outright, because obviously the product works. It's just a matter of, have they done enough for the FDA to be very certain that it's worthy for the market. And I think, given that the product's already been sent to Ukraine to be used on real patients, that's probably enough results for it to be credible enough. Not to mention that the Department of Defense was also the one that really pushed this onto the FDA. They said, we want a decision on this. So once it's FDA approved, the Department of Defense in the US is going to be stockpiling this as well. So there's no short, on demand for this product. It's a matter of, is it going to be approved in the next coming days? And hence why this company is really worth looking at, because they've got an awesome product that will be the best in class once it comes onto the market. So really worth considering this company. I remember I did a video on this like years ago. Their timeline kind of like, I think they were meant to have everything on their timeline approved last year. Obviously there's setbacks. There's always setbacks when you invest in companies. So always be prepared, particularly in the biotech space. There's always so many delays and all this. Hence why, when you can buy a company at this kind of value with such a product, you kind of feel like it's a pretty good opportunity in that sense, because they go through so much, they spend so much time and money to get to a certain stage. Of course, they have to sell it afterwards. Apparently the product can be as expensive as $25,000 for those vessels, and they've currently got a capacity to make probably around 8,000 of those, with the potential to expand capacity to 40,000 with the current building. So you can kind of do the numbers, and it goes to the hundreds of millions. But that's not where it ends. That's just where it starts, because they've got dialysis that goes up for FDA approval, possibly in maybe a year's time, hopefully earlier. And then that's going to build on top of that. That gives them a lot more financial room to just do more testing on other areas, because they have at least 5-6 kind of areas that they want to focus on. And then you do the math. If the product works for this, works for that, then obviously product's going to work for a lot of things. But that's my opinion anyway. Let me know if you've any comments or questions. Post below. Until next time, good luck investing, everyone.